Hey guys, so in today's lecture, we are going to discuss geothermal energy. So, as the name suggests, geo means earth and thermal means related to heat. So, the energy which we will obtain from the earth, below the earth, which will be in the form of heat. So, it is the heat from within the earth, and it is used to describe the heat that comes from the earth's interior. So it is an another reliable so it is another reliable, clean and green source of power, and this heat is generated in earth's core about 6450 kilometer below the earth's surface and rise up through faults and cracks in the earth's surface. So once it reaches the surface, the heat is released naturally in the form of volcanoes, hot springs, a place where hot water flows naturally, and geysers. Depending on the geology, we can access this heat by drilling into Earth's surface or tapping into hot springs. So, major geothermal fields are situated in circum-Pacific margins, rift zones of Africa, on basins of Europe and across Asia to Pacific. The most active sites of geothermal in the Pacific Ocean is the Ring of Fire. Is the most active site. The Ring of Fire. So, what are the characteristics of geothermal energy that make its significant importance for both electricity production and direct use? So, we will see characteristics. So, number one, distributed in large area. So, it is distributed in large area. It is accessible to both developed and developing country. So, there is no place or country devoid of this energy. Then, second, environmentally friendly. It is low emission of sulfur, carbon dioxide, and greenhouse gases. Third, indigenous nature. So it is independent of external supply and demand effects and fluctuations in exchange rates. This indigenous in nature. Fourth is independent of weather and season. So it is not dependent on season and weather. Season free. Fifth, contribution to the development of different power sources. Contribution in development of different power sources. So geothermal energy can be used very effectively in both on and off grid developments, and is very useful in rural electrification. So it uses spans a large range from power generation to direct heat uses such as high temperature application, example electricity generation with the help of hot water, and then in successively lower temperature system. Lower temperature system may include binary system to generate further power, and direct heat uses bathing and swimming, space heating including district heating, greenhouse and open ground heating, industrial process heat, aquaculture, pond and raceway heating, agriculture drying, etc. So these are the main characteristics which make it unique and useful. Now we'll see few applications of geothermal energy. So, geothermal energy can be used for, as we have discussed, that it can be used for electricity production, commercial, industrial, residential processes, purposes, heating purposes, efficient home heating, and etc. So, we'll discuss first electricity generation. So, to develop electricity from geothermal, wells are drilled. So, wells are drilled into the geothermal reservoir, and the wells bring the geothermal water to the surface, where its heat energy is converted into electricity at a geothermal power plant. So, it is normally used to base load power plant. The second, direct heating. So, the heat source in geothermal energy is similar to the waste heat. Hence, low and moderate temperature hydrothermal fluids can be used as direct heat source. So, without involving a power plant or heat pump, for variety of applications such as space heating and cooling, food preparation and drying, hot bathing, agriculture, aquaculture, greenhouses, and industrial processes. Third, geothermal heat pumps. So, geothermal heat pumps are most energy efficient, cost effective, and environmentally clean systems. So, geothermal heat pumps take advantages of Earth's relatively constant temperature at depths of about 10 feet to 300 feet. So, temperature in the range 10 to 17 degrees Celsius. So, temperature in the range 10 to 17 degrees Celsius, they can be used almost everywhere in the world, as they do not share the requirements of fractured rock and water as are needed for conventional geothermal reservoir. A geothermal heat pump system consists of heat pump, an air delivery system, ductwork, a heat exchanger, a system of pipes buried under a landscape area, parking plot, or any number of areas around the building. In winter, the heat pump removes the heat from the heat exchanger, buried pipes, and transfer it into the indoor air delivery system. In summer, the process is reversed and the heat pump moves heat from indoor air and delivers to the heat exchanger. And the heat removed from the indoor air during the summer can be used to provide a free source of hot water, and it can be used for heating animals underground house in winter and escape the heat of the summer. So, geothermal heat pumps reduce electricity use 30 to 60 degrees Celsius compared with traditional heating and cooling systems, because the electricity which powers them is used only to collect, concentrate, and deliver heat, not produce it. The fourth application is additional applications which are remaining. So, additional are geothermal power for electricity is one way to tap this resource. There are other more direct applications that can be used almost anywhere. Since the temperature just a few feet below the Earth's surface tends to be between 10 to 17 degrees Celsius, geothermal energy is also used in agriculture, where hot water is piped under soil, where flowers and vegetables are growing, and this hot water ensures that ground doesn't freeze and thereby protects the crop from sudden temperature changes and gives the farmers a longer growing season. So these are the applications of geothermal energy. Now we'll see origin of geothermal resources. So origin of geothermal resources. So geothermal energy is the energy which lies within the earth, as we know that. So we'll divide the earth as you divided the earth in few zones. So let me draw the zones. So this is crust, this is mantle, this is outer core, and this is inner core. This is 30 kilometer. This is 300 kilometer. This is around 3,340 kilometer, and this is 6,370 kilometer. So this is the four zones: a thin crust, a mantle of solid rock, a liquid outer core, and a solid inner metallic core. So the outermost layer of the earth, the land that forms the outer surface in the ocean floor, is called the crust. So the crust is 5 to 25 kilometer thick under the oceans and 25 to 26 kilometer thick on the outer surface. The crust is not a one solid piece like shell of an egg, but is broken into pieces called plates. So below the crust is the mantle. So here we can see the below it is a mantle which is about 3000 kilometer thick and is made up of magma and rock. So it is made up of magma plus rock. So it is highly viscous, partially molten rocks with temperatures between 650 degrees Celsius. So between 650 degrees Celsius to 1250 degrees Celsius. Magma comes close to the earth's surface near the edges of the broken plates of the crust, and this is where the volcanoes occur. Here is the volcanoes occur. The lava that coming from the volcanoes is partly magma deep underground. The rocks and other water absorbs the heat from this magma. We can dig wells and pump the heat underground water to the surface. Below the mantle is Earth's core, almost 6,370 kilometer beneath the Earth's surface. At at the Earth's core, which consists of liquid outer core and solid inner core. Temperatures vary from 4000 degrees Celsius to 7000 degrees Celsius. The double layered core is made up of very hot magma surrounding a solid iron center. So, this double layered core is made up of very hot magma melted rock surrounding a solid iron center. So, very high temperatures are continuously produced inside the earth by the slowly decay of radioactive particles, and this process is natural in all rocks. So geothermal energy is the heat energy that originates from the core of the earth. The heat produces from a combination of two sources. So first is earth is originated from the sun several millions of years ago. So it is produced originated from the sun. and is cooling slowly. And is This is cooling slowly. The Earth was originally a mass of hot liquids, gases, and steam. So, fluid cooled by losing heat to the atmosphere. So, as the thermal conductivity of rocks is very low, hence cooling process is very slow. So, it is taking many billions of years for Earth to cool. So, heat also produced by radioactive decay of various isotopes. So, this is the origin of the geothermal energy. So, now, so the second reason was that heat is produced by the radioactive decay of various isotopes. Now we'll see distribution of geothermal resources. So how the geothermal resources? So geothermal energy is present over the entire extent of the Earth's surface. It varies only in its ease and cost of the extraction. So the development, the least expensive resource depends on the areas which are associated with volcanic activity. So where volcanic activities are associated, so it is least expensive to build geothermal power plant over there. So however, by no means is the resource restricted only to volcanic areas, as we know that crust mainly composed of granites. So it is as composed of granites is split into six main plates. So it is split into six main plates. So these plates move away from each other. So this moves away from each other. So at a rate of 2 to 20 centimeter per year. So relative motion of the plates occasionally gives rise to the areas where internal heat of the earth reaches the surface and where most volcanoes and most of the world's geothermal fields are found. So, water is the most important carrier of the energy in geothermal wells as it has a high heat capacity. So, it has high heat capacity and latent heat of vaporization. So, impermeable rocks cover permeable layers which contain reservoir of hot water. Therefore, it prevents heat loss and maintaining water under pressure. So, geothermal fields such as uh, geysers, geysers, require a combination of three geological factors. So, first, so a natural underground, natural underground source of water. So, second, an impermeable layer that traps the water and permits the formation of stream. Then second is impermeable layer which traps the water and permits the formation of steam. Third, a mass a mass of hot rock, a mass of hot rock near the natural water system. So geothermal energy is derived from the hot interior of the earth. Crushed rock up to 70 km thick provide insulation. Due to this insulation, temperature at surface is relatively cool but increasing rapidly with growing depth inside a rock. A small portion of rock is permeable so that over a long period of time it provides a storage of natural groundwater which gets heated. In places where heated water finds its way to move toward surface naturally, the geothermal energy can be extracted with relative ease. So in other places it may be extracted using deep boreholes. So in the Pacific Ocean it lies the richest belt of geothermal energy known as ri- rim of fire. Rim of fire, starting from New Zealand up to the New Guinea, Philippines, Japan, Western Serbia, and then down to Western United States, Mexico, and Central America. So this is the distribution of geothermal resources, how we can extract that. So I hope you understood, and we'll see in the next lecture.